G'day everyone, welcome along, welcome to Steel Horse Station. We are heading to the Vintage Oaks today, and as you can see it is a little bit damp. Got a couple of folks in, great to see you. John, hope you are well. There was a couple of extras and, oh, there may still be. Get two different messages telling me how many different people there are. Well, how many people there are, but they don't agree at the moment, so never mind. We are at the beginning of April, and as you can see, it's a bit of a damp start to the day today. We have picked up a number of contracts because the sowing contracts tend to disappear pretty quickly. I'm not going to worry about weeding, but we've got enough contract work. This particular one I thought was promising. 84,000. It's one of the fields right alongside us, so it was just too good to pass up. So that cash over the next month or so will pay for a number of things. The other thing we need to do when the rain stops is, if we have a look at the state of play in our part of the world, you'll see that, where are we here? All the grass we planted is ready to cut. So we can get our cover crop of grass sorted out, and then set about, well, we can bale up what we need, but we can set about getting our own crops in the ground. So what we might do first up is run down to, while the rain's on, run down to George's fields at the bottom, because they're a reasonable size. We'll use Ringo's gear, and let's see if we can get that grass cut. Hope everybody's had a fun weekend. I have a big activity over the weekend. We bought a new lounge suite, which we were fairly happy with the 35 years we got out of the last one, so it's going to take 3 or 4 months till it's made and delivered, but it was a successful shopping expedition. So we'll head down here. A bit miserable. Looks like there's some, and it's going to be a bit grey, but there's some drier weather coming, hopefully. I did do a little bit of tidy up at John's farm, so we'll have a look at that in a little while. Sort of just got some equipment in the right spot, finished those contracts we were working on last time, and just put a couple of older style sheds in place to get the massive equipment we had piled together out of the weather. Hodge 1, how are you? And how is the Canadian summer going? I quite enjoyed the race today, John. And Sim Brisco, welcome in, sir. We are having quite a bit of fun. While I see it there, I should jump in that tractor and send it back to the top yard. Is it a work day for you today, Mr. Brisco? I think the last time I can remember that I consciously spoke to Hodge 1, we were probably on Newlands. Still early or late. Now it's just gone 7:30 in the afternoon. Just for reference, FSB, there's a couple of funky, not game breaking, but there's a couple of oddities happened with the train. I can't force them to happen, or I would have explained them. I noticed in the Virtual Farmers stream the other day, he managed to get his camera stuck. Oops, I'm going the wrong place here. He managed to get his camera stuck under the map in the train as he was loading stuff up, but I didn't have that problem. But I did have a little bit of funky behaviour. I was able to sell off the train fine, so that all worked. G'day, Argsy. Welcome in, sir. We're just waiting for the rain to stop here before we set about making some bales for silage. What's the length of this grass? It's not looking like it's... do I want to be... not sure I want to be cutting that. Let's have a look around the corner. Over a year. Well, there you go. Thank you for popping back. Ah, okay. Well, that's good to know. I wasn't, as I said, I wasn't having that particular issue. But I did have a couple of odd little... The first time I loaded up the train and sent it, it didn't sell. Instead, the train headed round and got stuck, or appeared to get stuck on the other side of the map. But, well, that's much appreciated, Hodge 1. Glad you were able to make it back. So this grass isn't as long as I was expecting, but I think we're going to cut it anyway when the rain stops. So what we might do is go and get a seeder sorted for this big corn. So this is the big fields we've got to get corn seed into. So let's head up to the yard. So you can see we've added a bit of a lean-to-y sort of shed. I made it fit. What else did I do? Oh, yeah, so I moved I've just moved the gate across so that we've got now another sort of old shed sitting around the end there. So the gate was here, now moved across. I had the silo there, so I've moved that across to the corner. And now we've got things sort of put away. Now what have we got here? The horse is my planter. Let's have a look. Whoops. I think I've got 2 planters. Yes, I do. So for the moment, we'll get one set up. This one will be a good place to start. I know I put the seed in just in case I thought it might rain. So, yeah, there we go. Not quite as extreme as those tornadoes. Genius idea for loading containers. You've lost me. Ah. Yes, thank you. That was good fun. I enjoyed our time with Jake and Paige on Silver Run. Yeah, let's see here. I'm not going to mess with that. I'm going to just try and load it off the... I think it'll load off the trailer, off the tray on the truck. I did enjoy watching Mr. Sealy P's review of last week's mods. The Pal Finger seemed to be right up his alley. This is just going to be difficult, isn't it? It's going to be too far away. Oh no, we're full. That's right. Let's pay attention, shall we? Now, 176. Can I get there going out here? I think I can, yes. And hopefully, by the time we get to the field, the rain will have stopped. I must pick that bale up. That's been sitting there since last harvest season. That's not good. It is a good sounding tractor, this one. It's I had any criticism, it's just a fraction loud. That was one thing I liked. Yeah, 176, just up here. In the footage that we got last week on FS25, I did think the sound seemed to be a step up, which was quite pleasant. Yes, I remember the setup that you're talking about. Built the little platform out by the river, and we ran the well, first of all, the yarder into the container, and then we ran the yarder down the river. Now, this is a big field. This is a big field. Let's do a bit of it ourselves. I think we'll do... Now, John, you were asking about the Grand Prix. Yes, I did enjoy it. I thought it was good to see. Thought it was interesting to see Max get enough sleep beforehand and keep his cranky in check. So that was a positive sign. Also think it was continues to be a good learning experience for Oscar. There's no doubt he's quick, but there must have been just a small setup difference, which I'll put down to Norris's experience between the two vehicles. We'll see how this goes. I'm going to do the headlands rather than the centre first. I don't have any GPS on this tractor. I don't back myself to drive straight lines. I thought he did well. I was just disappointed that he couldn't find a way past Charles. But there's plenty of time. I like the way he's developing. He's got a quick car. He'll have other chances. And I thought it was good to see Norris recover from his okay but slightly suboptimal start and still find a way to make a commanding win. So I thought that will do the world of good for his confidence and sets up for a pretty interesting conclusion to the season over the next 3 months or so. Yeah, it is. It's noticeably so. Yeah, it takes a little while. Which farm are you running FSB? Ah, okay. So for everybody that doesn't know, he's talking about, where are we? Three and four. Where's 3 and 4? So there's 5. Must be what we're using for Penny's farm. Got to turn everything off to see the farm tags. Gotcha. So under here. Okay, rain has stopped. So what we might do is Let's use someone to help. And let's do 3 headlands. We'll be fine. Generate the course. Probably should put the other planter on here as well. So let's do that. So generate that course. That's better. Start the job. Okay. So let's duck back to the farm. We can grab these. Which tractor? How many eggs does that horse require? I can never remember. Planters. Horse requires 180, and this might just be able to pull it. I think. Let's. Pop you back in the shed. Ah, gotcha. Gotcha. Pop that at the back. Let's go and fill you up with corn. Whoops, let's try not to wipe the... I mix it up a little bit, FSB. So I'm not, it's not like, say Mr. Silly P with having to, all the console stuff. I've got enough automation that I can make lots of tasks quicker. It just depends how I'm feeling about what we're going to do and the next bit in the story. Now, why are you not going to want to load off there? Okay, let's go and get... Where is... down the road. So it kind of depends. It depends on how I'm feeling, what I want to do, what the mods are. I don't know if you saw last week's episodes. For those that weren't here, one of the things that I demoed, if you hadn't seen it, was the move mod, which is really handy. And well, it's not so relevant there, but the fact that you can relocate placeables is very, very useful. And particularly in places like this, if you want the yard to look a little bit differently. Traditionally, you wouldn't have been able to adjust anything, but because of the way FSB's built his map and with all the placeables, you can use that mod from Olaf to move or turn anything that doesn't quite align the way you want. So that's really handy. Now, which one do I want? I think I want you. Let's see, because I've got a sneaking suspicion. Yes, I was also really pleased. I don't know if you noticed, Brisco, I put a manure pit in, and I was really excited to see that single manure pit picks up manure from all of the pig pens at once, which is fantastic. Now, somewhere over here, I can drop this down. That off. There's plenty of smart lure scripters around, I'm sure, and there's plenty of time left for him to come back too, so there's nothing for him to do until there's a new game, so I wouldn't be too concerned about it. It also depends on what features you use a lot too, so what I should do before I do that, because otherwise there'll be an accident. Let me just take the weight off the front, would be a good start. Hay fever. I can imagine there's lots of aspects that I use it the most right at the beginning of a series or a playthrough. Once we're sort of up and running, I tend to use it sparingly, because I like to play what we've built and do the work myself. So about the only thing I do occasionally, so yeah, a little behind the scenes. So if I'm seeding a field, I won't necessarily always ferry what am I doing here? Why can't I pick that up? The seed out to the field. Just made that very tight for myself, haven't I? But if I do use EasyDev to fill my seeder up, I'll then take the money out. Come on. There's one. Absolutely. So if you haven't, for those of you that are not on PC or haven't seen it, the feature he's talking about is it this one? The ability to set field fruit. The dog's going to berserk because number one son's obviously going out to play basketball or do something. And he feels the need to communicate it to the world. So you can set up field characteristics if you haven't seen it before, which can be very helpful. But as I say, I don't tend to do much of that myself unless there's a specific scenario I'm trying to play for. Most of the time with fields, I let them develop the way they want. In fact, the most extensive use I made of it was right at the start of this series in order to get Paul's fields into such a poor state. I used it to... We're going to need another truckload of seed, aren't we? So we might send the truck. Anyway, to get Paul's fields into a really poor state, I used Easy Dev to undo all the good setup work that Sim Brisco had done in building the map. Right. Why did you not? Are you telling me you're full? You are, might be. You are. Okay, shut that. Let's move the other tractor out of the way. Without crashing into the equipment. Let's pop you down there for the minute. Don't stress the hydraulics too much. And we'll drive round and get this guy going. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it. Takes a little while to fiddle around and find the bits you want that fit in. And up at Penny's, I just changed a little bit of the fencing so that it's now easier to drive out of the cow farm round to deliver the milk. Put a couple of extra gates in. Yeah, let's see here. Got to copy that course across, don't we? Where's the... He's all the way over the other side. To you. B. Oops. Try that. Hitting the correct button. And come back over. Why did you not copy? Hello? Maybe if we delete the course we've got, might be a good start. Now let's have a look. Why are you not picking that up properly? You're... Yeah, that's better. Okay. Why is it not letting me? Why You're not letting me designate. Nearest waypoint left, right. So now when I come over here, why are you not letting me choose? Is most odd. You got the correct. Bit bizarre. Not quite sure what was going on there. You should now, if I'm not mistaken, be correct. I hope. But yes, this one's going to take a little while, but that'll give us time to get some grass work done. And they don't all have to be done in 5 minutes. We've got a couple of months to get the crop in. Really? That's what you're doing? Hang on. Cancel the job. That'll be the problem. Where should you have started? The headland. Okay, I'm expecting that. Automatic repairing, no. Tip side. Like that. Let's try that again. We'll get there in a minute, folks. This is the part answer to your question, Farm Sim Brisco. And obviously, I don't use all the automation all the time. Turning the renew tools field work. Sowing machines use fertilizer deactivated. Right. Now we should be good. Try that again. Now we're cooking. That just took longer than it needed to. Is the other one run out of... fertilizer? Out of seed by any chance? No. Why did you stop? But you are going to run out shortly. So let's go and get the semi. Run some seed over. And then we can go and work on the grass. I mentioned the pal finger before. I quite like the idea of it and its utility potentially. My only concern is it looks like the trailer that they've done for it is enormous in length, and I suspect it might be a bit of a handful on this map, but we might try it out at some point when we feel like we've got our business under control. Leave this guy here for the minute. We'll just duck back one more time and get you. Run over to the fields. I've found it interesting the last few days. I've stumbled across the subculture of YouTube react to videos, which are bizarre in the extreme. So just a strange concept to watch somebody else watching something, often cases that you've potentially seen yourself, just to see what some random person thinks of it. Very bizarre statement on the psychology of the world, I think. Okay, we're going to let that go for a bit because eventually, well, it won't be too long before it runs out of yeah. If I don't cut this grass and get on with it, even though it's not fully grown, the problem is going to be that we'll be later putting the crop in, which will give us problems at come harvest time. So I think George would want his sugar crop in as early as possible. So what we'll do is we'll just take what we've got. It was only a cover crop anyway to try and generate some silage. And the plan here, in fact, is to use some of this land just beside us, and we'll put a silage bunker in down this end of the map. Yeah, I'm not too interested in I agree completely with what you're saying. I'm not too interested FSB in the negative ones. I think there's enough outrage in the world. I don't feel the need to fan the fire. It just makes you feel miserable. The ones I find have at least an element of entertainment value are when that's something that somebody's done a good job with, or has got some good emotive content. So, but even so, it's still a bizarre concept. And some people are clearly quite successful at it. It's kind of up there with we have a free-to-air TV version of it. Yes, yeah, exactly. And we have a free-to-air TV version of it called Gogglebox here in Australia, where random average people watch TV shows, and the essence of the program is watching random average people watch TV shows. And it's got enough of a following that in the awards season it's got a category all of its own that the random watchers seem to win. It's just bizarre. I must be getting old, that's all I can say. Come on, what are you doing? And the other thing I've just realised, the downside of cutting this grass here is we haven't yet got enough cash to build the silage bunker I was planning to put down here. I don't think. We'll have a look. I don't think we'll put the big, large Vintage Oaks one in. I think we'll put a more a ground level one. But I don't know what I've got in the mod list, so we'll have a look in a minute. I'm sort of thinking just over there between the trees and the road would be a pretty convenient spot for it. The main idea is so we don't have to cart the grass too far. I managed to trip over some guy who seems to have built a whole channel around learning about Australia. So he's an American, and he, by all accounts, he's got over 70,000 subscribers, and he seems to do a daily video, you know, reacting to some aspect or other of Australia. Most of the, well, I've had a look at a couple excerpts of a few of them, and they seem to be done quite respectively. Some of them are quite respectfully, I should say. Some of them are quite funny. Seeing his reaction when he realizes some of the bizarre things that make Australia different to the rest of the world. So I guess it's telling that we've got enough content to keep him gainfully employed. And it would appear that enough of his audience are Australia that they're feeding him stuff to make videos about. You know, so I watched him review a video on the Royal Flying Doctor Service, which is our air ambulance in Central Australia. Well, in fact, regional Australia, which is a great story. And he'd found a pretty good overview video about the history and what it actually was. Yeah. It's not strange in a bad way, it's just different. Let's see here. Well, he did. So he did a kind of a first look at some video that appeared to compare aspects of Australia with the US. So it, you know, the population, I can only remember a few of the stats out of it. They're fairly commonly available, and he does make some attempt to fact check some of the things without making it tedious. But so, for instance, you know, the population of Oz these days is somewhere between 26 and 30 mil, whereas the US is up around 330. Area wise, I think that overall land mass of the US is about 10% or just over bigger than Australia. But for most people, Australia is a lot bigger than you realise. Yep. We have, see, the reason we have some of those rules is because we've got plenty of our own. And it's a particular sore point currently with our New Zealand cousins, because our politicians have sort of termed their own failings and law and order issues into a political football. So you know, it seems the only folks we can reliably deport are a handful of Kiwis that have done the wrong thing and given us a good reason to send them home. Now, there's plenty of people doing the wrong thing that should be going to the head of the deportation queue, I would have thought. But anyway, don't want to get too much into the politics of it all. So we're going to get a little bit of grass off here at least. Exactly. Well, not all of us. Yeah, I wasn't trying to wind you up. Not all of us think it's an entirely good idea. It's one of those things where if you take specific situations and then you generalize it and turn it into a media and political circus, it's almost always bent out of shape in the wrong direction. Oh, look, it's like anything FSB. The way I like to kind of look at that is if you live in a country and gainfully employed and earn a wage in the country, then generally speaking, there's some equivalence. Where it gets difficult is if, and I used to run into this fairly frequently because Aussies like to travel, right? And at some point they have had enough of living overseas, and a bunch of them decide that they want to come home, and that could be after a long time away. And so, you know, often they'll have worked in, well, when I say often, I had a number of instances where people had worked in London in some capacity, and then they came back to Australia and wanted a job in the same industry, but they wanted their UK salary converted at the exchange rate and expected that that's what they would be paid. And it's kind of like, life doesn't work like that. Oh, absolutely, Argsy, absolutely. Even more bonkers when you look at some of the folks that aren't deported, that should be, and not necessarily to New Zealand, to some other countries, because there are some other countries that I won't name that we don't have as good relations with, and they just say no, and it's kind of like, well, how's that work? So yeah, no, not a good place to go. You tend to find in different countries, different things have different price relativities. What I'm finding challenging to get my head around at the minute is the amount of food that we're importing. You know, canned food is a good example, that's coming from literally the other side of the world, and you kind of go, what? They're growing it somewhere else, they're processing it in another country, they're putting it in cans, they're then shipping it around the world, and it's delivered in the supermarket here cheaper than Australian grown produce. How that's just wrong. The yield is poor, but also the grass is not fully grown, John. So there's a couple of things working against us here. Let's have a look. So it's loamy sand, it's grass on loamy sand. The pH is average, but it doesn't need much fertilizer. Even so, it doesn't appear to have, well, it has some, but the bigger issue is that it's the first harvestable growth stage rather than the second. Yeah, well, see, that's doubly bad for us, Sim Brisco, because we dig the iron ore out of the ground and we send it up to China for them to make it into steel, and then we buy it back from them. How bonkers is that? I saw on the news just before I started streaming that those 2 astronauts that are stuck on the International Space Station aren't coming back now until probably February at the earliest, and that in the last supply shuttle that was sent up, or rocket that was sent up to them, there's a couple of projects from one of the high schools here in Melbourne that they're going to be working on. Yeah, basically a good portion of the western half of the country is a big metallic object. Odd one. That red dirt you see in all the outback pictures, it's not dirt, it's just rust. I do need to go and put more seed in, but we'll get this field. I think what I'm going to do with the grass fields at Penny and John's is we might leave them a little bit longer. We'll just concentrate on the contracts for the moment. No, it's... I thought it was quite intriguing, the reports that Boeing wanted to bring them back and NASA said, no, you can't prove that it's safe enough. And Boeing wanted to take the risk, and I thought, oh, wouldn't have thought right at the minute that'd be the right risk to be taken, but I think I'm in the process of forgetting more than I learned in school. Hodge one. I found bits of it interesting. My father was a gemologist, so we had a shop that sold stones and mineral specimens and semi-precious bits and pieces, supplies to make jewelry and that sort of stuff. So I grew up in that, on the edge of that world. And, I remember him traveling when I was in my school years, you'd go away for sort of 6 or 8 weeks at a time to really weird places in South America or Africa and buy stuff that you could then ship back and sell in the shop. Catherine, what's it? Catherine Monaghan. Hi, how are you? Welcome in. Yes, we did sell the odd opals. We had a share in a sapphire mine in outback Queensland there briefly. That was a bit of an interesting exercise. One day someone will renovate our old family home and undoubtedly dig up the driveway and find, well, they'll be all excited about the discarded sapphire and associated scree that was used as fill in the driveway. Not really, well, it wasn't worth anything then, but you never know, you might find a sparkler amongst it. I am indeed playing on PC. We're on Vintage Oaks, if you recognise it, and the maker of this magical map, Mr. Brisco, is in the house. Yeah, gold's a bit of a painful subject, Hodge one. So not gold bars, so didn't deal in any of that, and we didn't supply gold for jewelry making. He had a manufacturing mate, it was a manufacturing jeweler if we needed something like that done, but we did sell rhodium plated fitting findings and bits and pieces. But no, we back in the 80s we had a shop in the city in Melbourne, and we had a gold, no, a mineral gold display at one stage in the center of the store, and there was an armed robbery, the consequences of which basically destroyed the business. So it's just one of those things, right? It is what it is. It was a long time ago. I didn't really know a lot about what happened until afterwards, like sometime afterwards. I was still at school. I knew there had been a robbery. What I didn't know is that even though that display was insured, the insurance company and the owners of the pieces in the display were collective sneaky buggers and pulled a fast one, which left my dad holding the bag, so to speak. What they essentially managed to do was to take it to court. The gear was never recovered. Take it to court and rule that even though it was an armed robbery, that actually one of Dad's employees let the guys in that stole the gold, which was a somewhat of a stretch. Most storemen would open a door if some bloke in a mask pointed a gun at you. Yeah, the fossicking bit was kind of fun in short doses. I never got interested enough. It didn't sort of whet my appetite, to be honest. If you've got any questions about anything, Catherine, I'm not sure if you've been in before. Glad to have you here. But if you've got any questions, just sing out. I will do my best to answer. We've got some quite knowledgeable folks in the chat who can cover anything that I won't get. And they help me out all the time. Now, we've got one more field to do, so let's drive that round the corner here. I used to quite enjoy, it's funny the little things you remember. So a 44-gallon drum full of rock weighs about 200 kilos. And as a teenager, I was able to just move it. I couldn't lift it, but I could get it on its edge and roll it. Anyway, we used to get those full of supplies in. And the ones from some places, South America, I seem to recall, and parts of Africa would come with these, what was called boulder agate. So it was like the size of a coconut, but it was a rock. What you were looking for was it to be semi-hollowed inside and full of crystals. And so you had a I don't even know what the name of the tool is. It had like a ratchet mechanism on the handles and a chain that you put around the outside of this rock, and then you'd ratchet the handles and it would bring pressure to bear on the rock, and it would split it along the pressure line. And if you were lucky, when you opened it up, there would be this beautiful set of crystals in the two halves of the boulder, and they're pretty cool. That was always a fun experiment, fun activity. Let's go and put some seed in. No worries, Argsy. Thanks for dropping by. Now, let's drive. Do I want to drive you over there? Let's just bring that. I better open that. I'm going to need to do 3 trips out there. I probably should have just driven it over, but there we go. Concentrate. Gonna hold my mouth the right way or I can't pick up the bag. bit further forward. Because the first one was a half, I'm going to need to do one more. What we might do is take the rest of the bags off the tray and send the truck to the shop, because we've probably got enough. Whoop, pick it up. Spin up. Probably got enough cash just to buy another truckload of seed, which we're going to need. A drive around Woodside yesterday would like to be going. I'm not sure. Well, first thing, I don't know. My tuppence worth, though, or at least things to think about, would be getting the dem sorted. Probably makes sense. Going much beyond that, the only the reason for it, and maybe this is something that you've already thought of and got in train, but I would imagine you've got to go a little way down the creation of a new map, in order to get a sense of what buildings and placeables you're going to require. And I would have thought that, given how close we are to FS25, rather than putting your time at the minute into a map when you don't really know much at all about what's coming and what you're going to have to cater for, I reckon any work you put into placeables and buildings that you will then use on the new map will be better spent over the next couple of months. And in terms of, you know, a project and experiment, I mean, you've got some really nice buildings that you did for yourself on this map. If you fleshed out that pool a bit, then one of the things that you could potentially do, you know, assuming the conversion was fairly straightforward, PFS 25, is release a couple of mod packs to go along with your map. Early in the FS 25 life, which would be pretty cool. Right, so we'll just pull up there. Now, have I got a course past here? Yes, I do. So, what do others in the chat think? to the vehicle shop. That makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. I started fiddling around with an idea that I talked about to you before, FSB, which was a road transport version of the train. I think I've made a little bit of progress, but I haven't had enough time to invest in it. What am I trying to do here? I'm trying to nearest waypoint on your left. But if I can get it working, my plan is to implement it on here. I think I've got the basic structure sorted out. I just need a little bit better of an understanding how splines work. And also how to make, because I have to have a road. Let's look at the bottom of the map and I'll explain. Whoops. Oh yeah, that'll do. Let's go this one. Let's see, I need a road loop that heads off the map. So what I was thinking of doing was because you've only got one road crossing over the railway line. So I was going to run a road off here somewhere for the purposes of the exercise, and then bring it back in up this side of the track into the freight terminal, so that in effect I've got a road loop that my trucks can run around, but that won't interfere with other traffic. That's the plan. So I think I know how to go, and then but I've got to navigate a couple of things, like getting a truck to be able to disappear off the side of the map and come back on somewhere else. So I haven't got too far down the track. Now, so actually, I think changing the train out for there's only one tricky bit that seems to be a bit tricky, or a bit different, in that road vehicles don't have bogies, whereas the train does, and it's the bogies that track to the spline. So I just need to create a reference point on the vehicle that I use, the truck, to be able to do this same thing, because there's a whole bunch of stuff in the truck model that you don't need, because it doesn't need to steer or anything like that, because it's just following the spline. So, and trailers are trailers are trailers, so that's all pretty straightforward. Speak of the train, there he is down there. So what we're looking for is this guy. with the right. So yeah, let's take you back. And you're going to come back to the last waypoint when I let you free, aren't you? Maybe we should collaborate, FSB. You can do the spline bit and I'll have a crack at the XML truck bit. Mind you, now having spoken about it, if it follows the form of the last couple of weeks, Olaf will probably write a mod that does it all and release it on Mod Hub next week. Sorry to keep you up, Hodge One. We're glad to have you in though. If for you Woodside is where the motivation is, then there's no decision to be made. That's what you should do. But equally, I don't think anybody will complain particularly if you deliver a map of this quality and it happens to be called Woodside. People get a little bit precious about stuff that they know, but then as soon as they've had 5 minutes with something new, they get over it, and I wouldn't expect that to be any different. And you might find in the future that having, you know, put the sort of effort that you're going to have to do into Woodside, that you have a break after that before you decide that, yeah, actually I will have another crack at Oaks because I've got some different ideas. Yeah, so you're definitely not going back to sleep now. That looks like it's full, so that's okay. And we can send you... I'm probably in a bit of the minority at the minute against the hype train, but I think it will be I think it will be quite a challenge to, and quite some time till the quality of FS25 is at the level people want it to be at. And until I see anything that proves otherwise, I think performance is going to be an issue, and that's going to be a magnified problem for 4X maps. So an issue that will be soluble, but it'll take time. So, and I think there were some early indicators of that in the footage we saw last week. There was some interesting graphical artifacts and bits and pieces that suggest that it's not all smooth sailing, and the fact that some of the crop textures and things look pretty average at the minute, I think they got quite a lot of work still to do. So we should just, you know, take it with a grain of salt. Everything I've seen of the GPS system is, I'm not sure that it's quite what people are imagining it is, and I suspect it is going to require work by the map maker to bring GPS to life. I.e., I think a given field on a map will actually need to be coded into the map for GPS. I suspect that's how it works. I don't think it's a dynamic tool. Right, so we've got that going, that going, that going. Let's head back up. Yeah. Oh, I can see months of play. Well, if I look at this map, there's just so much scope for doing fun things. Now, where are we up to here? Let's check the cows. So, oops. We have a little bit of that. I should check them in here, actually. Let's do that first. So the pasture, we need some more hay. The TMR is not too bad. Good on you. Well done, Hodge One. You're all set and good to go. So this is what I did at this end of the field here. Well, that's exactly right. That's what I'm finding. That was kind of a bit behind why we let go of the full on the hill, not least of which was because Paul's got a substance problem, but I'm just really enjoying picking up over here, and you know, we've always got the Grimmer's farm down there that we can go and help with if we want. This area down here can develop in a completely different direction, and the pig farm breathed new life to this area that I'd never contemplated in Putney Corner. So there's heaps of different storylines, and I'm quite enjoying, even though I've combined it all into one holding now, I'm quite enjoying, in essence, running 3 different farms for the family. So what I've done up here, as you can see, is I put some gates in so that when we fill up with milk, we can get out. I moved the fences a little bit. Ultimately, that's just sort of the pond fence to stop any stock escaping into there. We're going to put potentially another barn in here, but we don't have the cash just at the minute. Well, that's good, John. I am glad. It's so much nicer having people to talk to when you're not just doing it yourself, I find. Now, let's grab the milk tanker. Here's what we need to do. You can just tootle across. Don't walk in front of the trucks, fellas. cow. A bit of clipping there, don't worry. How much milk have we got? $12,000 litres, that's pretty handy. So let's send you down. Yeah, can I get out of here? I can't remember if I set a course. Probably not with the trucks there. Might be a bit cozy. Not selling any more of the silage, so that's just to make sure we've got enough for TMR while we make the new lot. And let's send you to dairy load. No. I think I want you to go there. Yeah, so do I. And I like the fact that, here's a good example, right? You get out and you walk through here and you find areas that are rough, but they're done. And then you know, come across and you're in a farmyard again. So yeah, we're going to let this grass grow to its full state, I think. Now, 18,998. So what we need to do is head down here, because if we load up, what have we got? I don't want to be selling the, that's butter, so that's all right. So let's load him in. I don't want to be selling the chocolate, because we'll keep the chocolate for the dessert factory. We might just put it off to the side. So if those of you that are wondering what here, I've got these global transport pallets, and I've got one for cheese, one for butter, and one for chocolate. And the idea being that once they've got a little bit of product in, you can then use them to semi-auto load without having to fiddle around too much, which I quite like. And the only difference here is I need to do a little bit of a modification here so that pellets spawn. I need to put a platform basically along this spawn area so that pellets spawn a little bit higher and then they'll load straight into the truck. The other thing I was going to do was, rather than have these transport pallets able to take everything, just do a little bit of a fix so that each one can only take one type of product. No, I never played 19 as well. Well, FS22 was the first thing I played, Hodge one, so I was commenting in last week's stream that it'll be my first version change, which already feels a little bit weird. Oh, look, our milk tanker arrived. How about that? The automation works. Go on, turn around. Whoops. Come on. Too many controls. I can't drive the camera and the forklift and the pallets all at the same time. Rightio, so what do we got here? So let's pull you back. And what do we got on there? So yeah. You'll have to relearn everything you ever thought you knew and do it without documentation. FSB, won't that be fun? I need to turn it off. Come on, what's the trigger? It's here somewhere. I'm sure it's there somewhere if I go on bonkers. Yeah, it is there. Just didn't drive in far enough, I'm guessing. No, why are you not letting me unload? I think that's an area where you might get quite a I think you'll see some improvement, FSB. Why are you not letting me unload? Just in case you're upsetting something. I don't think you're full. Can't be full of milk, surely. No, no milk in it at all. Ah, so there was a conflict. Good to know. Turn you off. So what we'll do with the chocolate, which is in which one? That's cheese. That one's chocolate. Take the chocolate off. That must be it, John. It's far more likely that the global transport pallet. Whoops. Get the right key. That's better. The global transport pallet was probably... Oh man, when I want to be in the truck, I can't get in the truck. Let's try that again. Do I have a charging block? Or... No problem. Don't you hate it? Multiple chats. So let's pump you down there for the minute. Don't worry. We're just going to rib you about it, Sol. And you have one very confused streamer. Okay, so let's drive around the corner and sell our actually, let's, before we do that, where's the best place to sell cheese? But I'm guessing the farmer's market is going to be the answer to that question. Cheese and butter. Well, actually, Rampant wants... How much difference in price is there? Oh, Rampant's offering a fortune for cheese. We'll be going up there. Right. So, where Rampant is just near... is on the way to the farmer's market, isn't it? So... If I was to guess, Podge 1, there's a child in your world that is demanding electrical power. That conversation looked like one I've had many times. Now, I do not have a way to get you to stop. If I send you to the vehicle shop, that might be the best strategy. And let's go to the store. Rightio, we have a truck. I suppose I could have got the shop to deliver, but let's just do it this way. We want to buy 16 bags of seed. Whoa, that's a bit funky. Okay, what is upsetting the shop? How bizarre. Yes. What did we get? Oh, all nice and neat out there. I've not... Something's conflicting, that's for sure. So the only mod I've added... Let's just have a look. Oh, static actor moved. No. That's bizarre. Okay, no idea what's going on there. How many did I buy? Let's buy some more. I want another 8. Boom. There is something very weird going on. Do not know what it is. We'll just... Nothing to see here. We'll just ignore it and hope it goes away. Yeah, if we're lucky. Yeah, it's odd because I've bought packs of these before, and I mean it's the sort of symptom I would expect from a mod conflict, but as I say, the only mod that I've added is this in the last 48 hours or so is not there. Is the Powfinger. And it's misbehaving as well. I wonder if it's the cause of the issue. Because that's levitating. No. So whatever it is upsetting the shop. I will have to... something is not behaving properly, that's for sure. Yeah. Let's try and line these off a little bit a square. Come on. It's the only problem I find with these central articulated devices. There you go. I am inexperienced at driving them and I don't get them square before I try and do something. It's just right. Better distance. Let's try putting you down a fraction. Oh, there we go. Once you get them through, they work a treat. Should do is learn from my mistake last time and square up before I approach the tray. But a wonderful thing. Something needs to be refueled. What have I got no fuel in, I wonder? A tractor of some description, no doubt. Oh, well, the good news is those two seeders, even with what they've done, the two planters rather, with what they've done, got half of that field done, which is fabulous. That means with all this seed in place, we should comfortably get that field finished and our 80,000 collected next time. The last thing I was going to look at, which we can't do now until we get some money from contracts, is I want to have a look at bunker silos, just see what you think in terms of where to place them or where to place it. Just want one down near George's. And I've got to put one on John's place as well. Oh, there we go. I was thinking with John's place, I'll show you where I'm contemplating. The original thought was to put it up in top yard, in the top yard at John's place, but then I thought actually the residents that are in the houses there wouldn't really appreciate a silage bunker right over their back fence. Send you to top yard. Oh, yeah, the truck arrived. We can go and sell the cheese. Oh, that was the question I had for FSB too. Oh, while I have him. Don't do that. Why did you not go? Yeah. So much work. Right, cheese. Cheese. I am going the right way, aren't I? FSB. Rampart's down here on the corner, isn't it? Yes. So I managed to retrofit your sell points that you conveniently provided me. Thank you. Now, which one's which? Bugger it. We're just going to sell it all here. Cool. That was a nice little bundle of cash. Thank you for coming. Right. The question I had for you, which we'll jump over and do right now. Get out of there. Just get you sorted so that I can send... Actually, I'll just leave you parked in front of the pub for the minute. That'll do. We go up here. Was it your intention that this sell point is here in this little lot, or should it be in fact in the middle of the car park here? I wasn't sure what you intended. I'm not unhappy with it either way. But it took me a little while to find it because I came here to sell something and I'm like, where the hell is the sell point? Anyway, that was the question that I had. Now let's have a look at bunkers. So we don't need a bunker. We've got one bunker here. I'm not planning on putting a second one there. If I put a second one, it'll be over here somewhere, I think. Yeah, I noticed there were a bunch of things in the new version. I didn't get too fussed with transferring all of them. I just wanted the sell points. Now, where have I? Okay, I'm too far. Right, you are. So, pig farm. So there's my my manure heap. And so what I was potentially thinking was that for John's farm, if we put a silage clamp down here somewhere rather than up in the main area or the main yard area. So I'm sort of thinking in along here, and I'm wondering if we could get away with something like oh, that one doesn't rotate. Okay. I might hate these ones that are only on the 90 degree. It's so frustrating. There's no reason for it. It just lazy conversion from the past version of the game. I don't know how big this one is. That's an on the 90 as well. I might have to do some more research on, because I suppose I could put one of yours in FSB. I just make a if I I did it that way, make a bit of a smooth space and drop it in there. Potentially that might work. It's 75 grand. I don't want to mess with anywhere else, I don't think. Yeah. So that might be that. The trick is the orientation, that's all, just to have enough room to maneuver to be able to drop the trailers in. I will sort something out with that, I'm not quite sure. But that's where we might leave it for today. I have got a little bit done. I've certainly appreciated all the company. Thank you very much, everybody, for dropping in. It's great to have you. We've had quite a few folks through today, which is wonderful. Thanks for spending your bank holiday with us, Farm Sim Brisco. Always great to have your perspective and advice on our map. And Hodge One, lovely to see you after coming back after my break. So I will be back on Thursday evening as normal. I hope everyone has a great week. Stay safe until next time, folks. Thanks for watching. See ya.